She called my garage an eyesore, mocked my junk, and demanded I take it all down. But when she found out who I really worked for, her jaw hit the floor. Yeah, that's how it all went down. This isn't just another story about an HOA gone power crazy. This one's about what happens when arrogance meets reality and loses. Let me take you back a few months, to the neighborhood where peace and quiet lasted only until Karen moved in. My name's Ethan Miller, a 38-year-old engineer who works remotely for NASA's robotics division. I live in a nice, peaceful suburban neighborhood in Huntsville, Alabama, close to the Marshall Space Flight Center. My house had a 2-car garage that I'd converted into a small personal workshop. Inside were 3D printers, precision tools, electronic testing equipment, and a few half-finished prototypes. See, I'm the kind of guy who likes to tinker. If I'm not designing parts for Mars rovers, I'm building drones, electric bikes, or little robotic arms for fun. It's my sanctuary. For years, the neighborhood had been quiet. Everyone minded their own business. Until Karen Thompson moved in 3 houses down. Karen was the self-appointed enforcer of the HOA, the kind of person who believed she was the law of the land. She had that I run this neighborhood energy that made everyone roll their eyes. You know the type, walks around with a clipboard, takes photos of people's lawns, and sends angry emails if your trash can touches the curb for more than 5 minutes. At first, I ignored her. But soon enough, she found a reason to target me. One Saturday afternoon, I had the garage door open while calibrating a robotic arm prototype. I was wearing my safety goggles, working with some wiring, and blasting classic rock, just enjoying the weekend. Then I heard a sharp voice from behind me. "Excuse me. Are you aware this is a residential neighborhood?" I turned around. There she was, mid-50s, sunglasses, and a permanent scowl, Karen in all her glory. "Afternoon," I said, trying to be polite. "Yeah, I live here." She crossed her arms. "Well, you sure could have fooled me. This looks like some kind of mechanic's shop. What is all this junk?" I smiled. "It's not junk. I'm working on a project." She scoffed. "Project? Looks like a safety hazard. You can't be running a business out of your home. That's against HOA rules." I calmly explained, "It's not a business. I'm an engineer. This is just my workspace for personal and professional projects." But Karen wasn't listening. She whipped out her phone and started taking pictures. "Oh, the HOA's going to love this," she said smugly. "This kind of clutter brings down property values." I sighed. "Have a nice day, Karen." She stormed off, muttering something about reporting me. A week later, I got an official letter from the HOA. "You are in violation of community standards for operating a commercial workshop in a residential zone. Please remove all equipment from your garage or face fines." I couldn't help but laugh. I didn't operate a workshop. I worked for NASA, from home. So I emailed the HOA, explaining my situation and attaching documentation from my employer confirming that I was a government engineer, not a business owner. But Karen wouldn't let it go. At the next HOA meeting, which I decided to attend just to defend myself, she was already there, clipboard in hand, acting like she was prosecuting a criminal. The HOA president, Mr. Walters, opened the meeting. Next on the agenda, a complaint about a resident allegedly running a workshop out of his garage. Karen jumped up. "That's him. Lot 42, Ethan Miller. He's got machines, wires, lights, and all sorts of things in there. It looks industrial. He's clearly breaking the rules." Everyone turned to look at me. I stood up calmly and said, "With all due respect, I'm not breaking any rules. I work remotely for NASA as a mechanical engineer. Everything in my garage is for research and personal projects. No customers, no business." Karen snorted. "NASA? Oh, please. Next, you'll tell us you're building rockets in your backyard." The room chuckled. But I didn't flinch. "Actually," I said with a smirk, "some of the components I helped design end up on rockets." That shut her up for about 2 seconds. Then she scoffed again. "Well, that sounds dangerous. We don't want explosions here." He's probably storing chemicals or something. Mr. Walters sighed. Karen, unless there's evidence of safety hazards, we can't accuse him of violations. But Karen wasn't done. Fine. Then we'll call for an inspection. A week later, I got a notice. The HOA requested a property inspection. I agreed, because I had nothing to hide. When the day came, Karen actually showed up with the inspector, pretending she was part of the committee. I opened my garage door with a smile. Welcome to my evil lab. Inside, everything was spotless. Clean counters, labeled storage bins, neatly arranged tools. The robotic arm prototype sat in the middle of the workspace, connected to a small control terminal. The inspector looked around, clearly impressed. Wow, this is more organized than our HOA office. Karen's smile faded. But look at all these machines. They're not for a normal home. I pointed to the NASA logo on one of my blueprints. You're right. They're for Mars. The inspector blinked. Wait, you work for NASA? I nodded. That's correct. I help design robotic systems used in rover assembly and testing. Everything you see here is part of federally approved work. I'm under NASA's Remote Engineering Division. Karen's mouth dropped open. The inspector turned to her. There's nothing unsafe here, ma'am. In fact, this man's probably contributing more to our country than any of us. Karen stammered. But it looks messy. The inspector chuckled. Ma'am, that's called science. After that day, word spread fast through the neighborhood. Apparently, the guy with the messy garage was actually the engineer helping NASA build parts for Mars missions. Suddenly, my workshop wasn't an eyesore, it was a point of pride. Neighbors I'd never even met started stopping by. Hey, Ethan. So is it true you work on space stuff? One kid even showed up with his mom, holding a toy spaceship. Can you make mine fly to Mars? It was wholesome. I didn't mind. People were respectful and genuinely curious. But Karen. Oh, she wasn't happy. She avoided me for weeks, clearly embarrassed. But karma wasn't done with her yet. 2 months later, NASA organized a small community outreach event in our area. They wanted to highlight local engineers who worked remotely on their projects. Guess who they asked to speak? Yep. Yours truly. The event was held at the community center, the same place where Karen had mocked me in front of everyone. I gave a short presentation about my work on autonomous systems and how our designs help rovers navigate Mars. Then I showed a slideshow, including a photo of my home workshop with the caption, Innovation starts in garages. The crowd applauded. Kids were amazed. Even the mayor attended and thanked me for representing the city. And sitting in the back row, trying not to be seen, was Karen, her face redder than a Martian sunset. After the event, people came up to her, saying things like, Wow, Karen, can you believe Ethan's a NASA guy? You must feel silly about that whole workshop thing. She forced a smile and muttered, Oh, well, I knew he was doing something important. Sure you did, Karen. Sure you did. After that, Karen's reign of terror began to crumble. People stopped taking her complaints seriously. Whenever she tried to enforce some ridiculous rule, neighbors would say, Careful, Karen, maybe NASA needs permission first. It became a running joke. Eventually, the HOA president asked her to take a break from her volunteer position because of all the drama she caused. Meanwhile, I kept working peacefully, now with full support from the community. One day, I saw Karen walking her dog past my house. I waved. She gave me a forced smile and said, Nice, lab you've got there. I grinned. Thanks, Karen. You know, if you ever need help fixing that HOA spreadsheet, I could probably program a robot to handle your complaints automatically. She didn't respond, just walked away a little faster. You know, I never held a grudge against Karen. She wasn't evil, just ignorant and obsessed with control. Some people see something they don't understand and immediately assume the worst. But that's the thing. You never know who you're judging. The guy you call weird might be designing the next Mars rover. The garage you call messy might be where history's being made. All it takes is one open mind and one closed mouth to make a difference.